Yes, people, welcome back to AlbertJTV and Holly's Hotspurs. Fourth show coming up for Euro 2024. Plenty to discuss. England nil, Slovenia nil. Let's talk about it after the intro. And there you have it, people. Ponderous intro into show 4 with Holly's Hotspurs meets AlbertJTV. Hashtag Euro 2024. England nil, Slovenia nil. There's plenty to talk about in a short space of time, people, because there's so much football going on and we want to watch football and do the reviews. But we're here again, Holly, for show number 4. And before we bring in our amazing guests, people, don't just touch the like button for AlbertJTV Holly's Hotspurs. Smash it at the ballpark and get them algorithms up. And subscribe and like and share on all platforms. Going live on YouTube, going across the Twitter feed, and also I put it on Facebook as well, so you might want to catch up on there. And also, before I forget, before I talk to Holly, all the listeners, you will never be forgotten. So just be on the Spotify download and the Apple download, so you can hear everybody's fantastic dulcet tones. So Holly, another performance from England. But before we get into it, how have you been? Show number 4.
Oh no, man, it's good. I was on time today, so that's a bonus. I mean, my hair's a mess, and I must say, I think the intro song was a whole lot better than the performance from England. But I'm sure we'll get into it. So yeah, it's good to be with you again, Albert, tonight.
Well, I was going to say, Holly, looking rather tanned actually, or you know, slightly tanned or burnt. I mean, I didn't want to say burnt. You said burnt. I didn't say burnt. So people can't get on me in the comments, right? Cherry red is that more appropriate?
We'll roll with that.
We'll roll with that. But before people, we have an amazing guest with us. This is her debut, kind of on my channel, but she's been on Holly's channel before. But people, you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say, because we're going live on 2 channels. But how can I describe this fantastic young lady? Budding writer, fantastic photographer. I'm just going to call her a journalist. Bring in the KJB, Kerrie Jacobs Bright.
Oh.
Yes.
Hi guys, you're right. Thanks, Albert, for having me on for my debut. And Holly, good to see you as always. Can't wait to dissect that thrilling matchup that, it didn't send me to sleep at all. Yeah, but here we go.
Yes, Kerrie, it is an absolute pleasure. I got to meet you obviously last season, watching one of the women's North London derby actually. But yeah. Holly, I must admit, I have to say this. I know I'm doing it live, but are you smiling already? They don't know what I'm going to say. You obviously know you're my YouTube Tottenham wife. I have to say that, right? You know that. There's a lot of love there. But this woman I met, Kerrie, I'm tempted possibly to send you the divorce papers. Tempted. It's not definite. I just need to have a bit more time to think about. But Kerrie's an absolute delight. We've got like a house on fire, and we can't wait to go to more games and talk about all types of sport, because she's not just football. She loves all types of sport. So, Holly, I want to come to you quickly before you fire the questions at Kerrie. I've seen a lot of England in numerous tournaments. I'm 21 plus VAT is my famous saying. And I have to be honest from what I've seen. And this is not a knee-jerk reaction. Like I said, I've seen a lot of England play in many, many tournaments, the Golden Generation and Capello, Sven, McLaren, Venables, Bobby Robson. I've seen it all. Hoddle. But I have to be honest, I'm a bit concerned by what I'm seeing, because it's gradually got worse. What are sort of your immediate thoughts after the game, and we'll delve into it a bit more before?
I think I said to you last night, I was like, can we sack a manager mid-tournament? Because I'm so up for that. And I know we talk about, obviously, I know it's not a knee-jerk reaction, because I think we're all kind of fed up. And it's mad how, I know we'll get into it, but we can all sit here and see what the problem is. But to Southgate, it's more like, let's take Gallagher off and put Trent on, because that's going to fix all our problems. But we'll dive into that. But yeah, I really don't know where we kind of go, because it's so frustrating. And like you say, it's only getting worse at the minute. And now we're getting into the last stages of the tournament. I'm not really looking forward to it, to say the least. And normally I'm up for every England game, but at the moment it's just like, what minute am I going to fall asleep this time?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Kerrie, coming to you, sort of before we sort of delve into it, I just want to strip it back really. Sort of coming into this tournament, obviously off the back of Southgate. I think he's been England manager now for 8-9 years. I think it is 7, 8, 9 years. What was your immediate thoughts of how England would do at this tournament before a ball was kicked?
Initially, when I came in, I was really, really excited about the attacking threat options we had. And then obviously with the back four in terms of like Luke Shaw injury and Harry Maguire's injury, I was a bit concerned about how we're set up at the back. But now that we've had 3 games, I'm more concerned about the attack, right? We've got Mark Gahey, who's absolutely been our player of the tournament. I love him. I'd take him at my club any day. He's been outstanding. Walker's been okay. And, you know, we've not really been tested too much. But then obviously when you go into a knockout rounds, that's where you're going to get tested more. So I've not been impressed at all. But coming into it, like you go back to your original question, I was more apprehensive about defence and I was so excited about the attacking options, and I've just not been impressed.
So amateur mistake. So all the listeners, I was talking, but you can't hear a word of what I was saying because I was on mute. It's an amateur mistake us content creators we do when we go live, to put ourselves back off mute. So let me start that again. Holly, before you fire a question at Kerrie, I think I heard this. I don't know if I got this right. People in the chat when they watch it back. Since Qatar, I think we've played 17 games or 14 games? I can't remember how many it is. We've gone into a tournament and I don't actually know what the best 11 is. And like Kerrie mentioned, one of the things that I wasn't concerned about going into the tournament was the attack. The attack, to put it politely, and I know it's before Watershed, so I'm not going to swear. It is a blunt instrument. Actually, it's even worse than a blunt instrument. It's not an instrument, it's just blunt. It's very concerning. But like I said, 14 or 17 games since Qatar, I believe it is. And we've got worse. I don't know what your immediate thoughts are about that, in terms of, like Kerrie mentioned, about people going into the tournament thinking defensively England are going to be not good enough, because that's probably what's going to stop them from winning the tournament. What's your thoughts about that?
Oh, in terms of me,
Yeah.
I agree in terms of like what Kerrie said. I think we were all under the illusion that the defence was going to be difficult, especially seeing Trips obviously playing on his unnatural side when Luke Shaw's probably the one that should be playing there, but obviously with his injury. And we kind of see it in games. He's always, his first apprehensive touch is to turn back and pass it backwards and go out the other side, which again is a bit predictable. And again, it's that unbalance again. But yeah, with those star-studded names that you've got, the likes of Foden and Bellingham, and Kerrie, we'll probably get onto it in terms of, there is that imbalance, and it's kind of like, if Southgate's going to kind of save this and take it into the next round, because we know there's talent there, do you think it's time Southgate just kind of stops being stubborn and be like, right, I can't play Foden and Bellingham at the same time?
I think he can play them at the same time, but he needs to readjust the positioning. So every Tom, Dick and Harry has been saying, move Bellingham back, to partner Rice, and then bring Foden into 10. It's just a natural thing to do. But yeah, no, that's why I'd go with. I can't remember the rest of your question.
It's more the sense in terms of like the imbalance. So like you said, I didn't think you could, but like you said, maybe doing that. And I think it's the kind of the attacking, the kind of speed that we need down the wing, because if they're dropping, we need players to overlap. And I think we kind of saw it towards the end of the game, where Gordon came on and Cole Palmer came on. Do you think that will maybe click in Southgate's head that, right, I need to play these two, or do you think he's going to revert back to what he normally does?
I have a terrible feeling he's going to stay on his high horse and maybe just make 1 or 2 adjustments. But we saw, I don't know if anyone was actually awake by this point, but 89th minute when Anthony Gordon came on, that last 5 minutes of time, we looked a little bit more threatening. I wouldn't say it was amazing because it was 5 minutes. But, like you said, the pass from Gordon into whomever it was to run on to Kane to lay off to Palmer, it was a really good work of play. It was probably the best, stretch of, apart from that offside goal in the first half, was the best play that we've played in the whole tournament. I hope he makes the changes. I hope he's conceded the fact that maybe he has got it wrong, And we saw that when he brought Kobe Mainoo on at half time, and then he finally brought on Palmer, and then he finally brought on Anthony Gordon, albeit those final two were a little bit too late. So hopefully we see. I'm still waiting to see who we're going to partner up against or match up against. But yeah, I think that's the way forward for sure. And in terms of addressing the imbalance on the left side, there's a very simple solution, and I will die on this hill. I would move Kyle Walker to the left-hand side. Now, hear me out. I would then put Trent in the right-back position. And that is how I would balance it out, because Kyle Walker's going to do the overlapping runs because we saw it in the other game. That is where we're missing Luke Shaw, because that is vintage Luke Shaw at Manchester United.
There you go. Kerrie, you heard it here first. KJB, this is what we do. Gareth, you're listed somewhere in was it Gelsenkirchen or where it is in Germany? I can't remember, but I think that's where England are playing on Sunday. You know what it is? I look at England and I think the biggest criticism I'll take away from the first 3 games, a lot's been said. It depends what outlet you listen to. I like listening to Football Daily on BBC 5 Live with Chappers. Love Chappers. I think he's the best in the business. Listen to Izzy Christensen, Connor Cody, listen to Joe Hart. I listen to so many people, Gary Neville, right? Listen to all of them. Ange was on the ITV yesterday, as you probably saw. But I think for me, I look at the 3 games, and I have to say this, coming back to Kerrie, England's passing has been dreadful. It's been sloppy. I'm talking about simple passes here. And I always go back to my famous saying. I'm not talking about players hitting Stevie G Hollywood passes. I'm talking about simple A to B passing. And not only that as well, come back to you, Kerrie. It is so slow. I can't, how are you supposed to penetrate teams with 70% possession of the ball, but it's in your own half? The amount of times I saw Gay to Stones, back to Stones, to Rice back to the centre halves, to Walker. They're not. Nobody's being brave. I don't understand what's going on. You've got the likes of Bellingham in there. Like you said, you've got Kobe Mainoo's been taken to the squad. Adam Wharton, we may see him, we might not see him. That's my biggest criticism I take away from the games. I think our passing's been atrocious, and I'm being polite by saying that. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you, because we saw in like the first 15 and 20 minutes, we're just simple backline passes were going out for throw-ins. What else did we see? We see Declan Rice, a second game in particular, just constantly passing back, not playing those progressive through ball passes that we're used to seeing from him at Arsenal this season, especially when you've got, a familiar teammate in Saka ahead of you. Bellingham looks lethargic. I think he's run himself into the ground basically.
We'll come to him. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. And we're not operating as a team, we're operating as individuals. And you see the likes of Spain, you've got Spain playing they're not afraid to play their young players. They're not afraid to play Lamine Yamal. They look like a cohesive unit. England do not. And the body language, someone pointed this out on Twitter the other day, the body language of them even, in those behind the scenes footage is just wrong. It just looks like, I don't even know how to describe it, apart from meh. There are some serious problems. But, I'm optimistic based on the last 5 minutes. You've got to be optimistic or you've just got to cry.
Kerrie, that's a very poignant point. I mean, if I could reimburse some England fans already for what they've seen, I would, personally, because they pay a lot of money to go and watch the national team. And I mean, I don't condone, obviously, what happened yesterday with Southgate, with the bottles being thrown. And come on, man. Like, listen, I said it, Holly, I'll come back to you before you fire up more questions, maybe to me or to Kerrie. I go back to Qatar, right? People might even go back further than that, to be honest. But I said at the time, I said, nothing personal against him. You've brought a great team harmony and a team spirit together. None of this club divide, the nonsense coming out of Rio Ferdinand's mouth a few years ago on BT. But don't get me started anyway. But I've kind of gone out of my head what I was going to say, but I'm just struggling to. I just don't recognize this. If someone had said to me from when we lost to France in Qatar, the performances would be like this in the next major tournament, I wouldn't have believed you, even with Southgate in charge. And I said to you at the time, that's what I was going to say. 3 tournaments for me was enough for him. Let someone else take it. It's too late now. People go, yeah, we're in the last 16 hours, cool, but I'm going back. give someone time to work with these set of players. England have got a fantastic set of players, the best I've seen in many years. But do you think how much do you look at it and think Southgate or the players? Are you 50-50? Are you 70-30? And I asked that question more so what you see in this tournament.
I think it sounds really harsh, but I think it is all on Southgate because, okay, yes, we know he's only got a certain amount of time to be with these players. And yes, there's been a few that have come through the door that haven't really been in England camp for too long. But with that amount of talent, you don't really have an excuse. You don't really have anything to kind of go back on because you've got the likes of Jude Bellingham, you've got Foden. They all ball for their teams. It's just not working in England. And we've said tonight as well, we've said what the problems are, where they lie. It's little tactical tweaks. It's not necessarily because the players aren't playing great. Yes, okay, we need to move the ball a bit quicker. But I think that is fed from your manager. And like Kerrie said as well, like the body language but it's just like they don't really care. They don't really want to be there. That's what it kind of felt like last night in terms of like, if we don't want to play the big guns next, we'd go out and potentially win this game and not hope kind of on a draw. I mean, luckily it's worked out for us, but it's just frustrating, I think, from a fan's point of view.
With that, before you come into Kerrie, do you think that's not necessarily the body language part, but I've never seen it like this where I've seen it before with the media. There wasn't a great relationship with England many years gone by, but this is a bit different in terms of, you know, when Gary Lineker made a couple of observations and points over the last few days, and Rice and Kane have come out on sort of the front foot sort of thing. Obviously, on, you know, Keane and Neville were talking about it. What do you make of that? I've not seen that before. I've got to be honest. Where I've seen like ex-England players have their opinions about players in tournaments, but this seems a little bit different. I've got to be honest with you.
No, I think you're right. I think, like I said, it is very much like, I wouldn't say digging them out, but I think it's like that thing of it's just got a bit stale. Like you spoke about in terms of, obviously, Gareth's been here a while now. I think it's just got a bit stagnant in terms of we need someone that's got a bit of energy about them now, that's going to give something different, because these are, like we said, like there's a lot of great players in this team, and we're not going to have them around for too long. As we know, tournament football only comes around a certain amount of years.
Yeah,
we don't want to kind of lose that. And kind of come to you as well, Kerrie, because I want to kind of add on to Albert's point, because I think it is a great one to make. And I know we've seen it in the past with pundits digging out Harry Kane and this, that, and etc. Do you think that these comments that are being digged out, especially maybe towards Southgate, is that because there's a bit of frustration in terms of he's been there too long, and now these pundits are kind of coming out and saying their piece as well?
I think, especially in terms of the way that podcasting has kind of evolved, if we're going to speak, you know, specifically on like Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer and Michael Richards, those kind of lots, I think they're absolutely well within their right to say this, and they would be saying this anyway. They don't shy away from the fact, you know, they're honest. But I was listening to one this morning, and they were saying that essentially Gareth Southgate's not really listening to the outside world. He said that in one of his press conferences, and perhaps maybe he should. Like, everyone knows, like I've listened to ones of Gary Neville, Wayne Rooney. Like, Gary Neville even predicted that he was going to sub out Trent for Conor Gallagher before the tournament even started, saying that, you know, oh, I don't think he'll put him in right away because it doesn't give the wow factor of having, you know, someone like a Trent in the tournament. But basically all of his steps have been predictable, and I think people are well within their rights to criticise. We're here to criticise. We're not experts. We're not coaches.
No, not experts.
Maybe. But do you know what? I feel like when you were talking about your points there about you've not seen a team like this before in years, I'm thinking back to when he took over his first tournament. What was it, 2018 World Cup?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
When I remember when they all went on like that that army training camp to build a team. We need to see that, because I was thinking we've had so many new integrations in that squad. That squad from 2018 is completely decimated by the likes of Kane and John Stones and that. I think maybe that's where they've missed a trick. Maybe like they should have maybe done a bit more in terms of like team bonding, try and get that group cohesion, get people on side. Otherwise, we're reverting back into what we saw in the golden generation of the Lampards, Terrys, you know, Gerrards, where they were more concerned with team, you know, they brought their club mentality into it, and they were like, no, I can't socialise with a Man United player kind of thing. I'm seeing little elements of that, but not enough. Like, I feel they do all get on, but you're seeing little groups fondle in the behind the scenes videos, and I think that's where their main problems are. And Gareth needs to, well, he at the end of the day, he's the one that puts the team sheet out. he knows that he's not made the changes that we've all expected. We could have completely reverted that squad, rotated that squad even, because we knew we were through. But yet he still chose to go with the same 10 bar the switch. I just don't understand.
No, well said. I think the thing for me is, I thought about this. I really got to remember, like, Gareth Southgate was a defender, right? So when whoever England are going to play, because there's about 7 different teams that could play in on Sunday from what I've seen. He doesn't strike me as someone that's going to necessarily. I'm not saying you should listen to the public or ex-professional footballers, but I think for me, he's very kind of not set in his ways, but you wasn't going to see a big change in terms of, you obviously saw Conor Gallagher come in, and I don't personally think he thought it worked, hence the reason why I took him off at half time. But I don't know. I think because he was a defender when he played, I don't think risk adverse is in his vocabulary, even with the squad that he's got. So whoever England play, for example, on Sunday, he will pick a side based on who we're playing against, as opposed to the clamour from noises from out, whether it be us sitting on a podcast or someone talking from TalkSport or BBC. That's what you're going to get. I'm hoping, and this is by the stretch of imagination, come back to Holly, that you're going to have to see a better England, because we're at a stage now in the tournament where any mistakes and you're going home, and a quality opposition will kill you. Because I've looked at I said this within the first 3 or 4 days of the tournament. I'm looking at other teams playing. I'm seeing a lot more directness, a lot more brave on the ball, better use of their wingers, i.e. Nico Williams and Yamin Lamar. I mean, if we came up against Spain, for example, tomorrow, we'd absolutely get torn to pieces. Pedri in midfield, we'd be annihilated. So, Holly, coming to you, yeah, what's your kind of thoughts in terms of the game coming up on Sunday, in terms of the quality of opposition where England are going to face? Let's be honest.
It's a scary prospect, to say the least. I'm kind of holding on to the fact that it takes us a little while to get going, and then it all clicks. I'm hoping that's going to happen, but I really don't know. And it's the most annoying thing, because we know how good these players can be, and it is kind of that cohesion thing. We're not really seeing it. I mean, going back to the game where they're not making 5-yard passes, or they're passing the ball too far behind the player in front. It's just schoolboy stuff. Like, I just don't understand how that was kind of happening. But I'm going to flip it on to you, Albert, and ask you the same sort of question, in terms of, because I know you've mentioned a few world-class players. I mean, they are world-class players, the way they're playing at the moment. How does Southgate kind of, I know he said he's just going to shut it out and play his way, but he can't be stubborn. As the tournament goes on, he has to adapt, and he has to work out that sometimes you need to play your wingers more progressive and maybe tweak things a little bit, because it won't, like you said, when we come against these strong opposition, it ain't going to work in our favour all the time, let alone, especially the way we're playing at the minute.
He needs to make some big decisions, whether he's got can I say this? What's the time now? Is it 24? I don't think I'm going to say, I don't think he's got the bollocks to do it. If you want me to be really, really, really honest, and it goes back to, like I said, him being a defender, and you just have to look at England, where not just in tournament football, in knockout football, how we play, how we set up. It's not risk adverse, and what annoys me is we've got the players to do it. I mean, I said this to you before. It's a good thing I didn't do a watch long for the England game so far, because you'd have seen a very different side to me. I was swearing, get Gordon off, get Flash Gordon on, get him on in the first game. I mean, he came on the other night. I'm not being funny, right? In stoppage time with 1.5 minutes to go. I mean, what's he supposed to do?
What is the point?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. And even then, he still played a part in the build-up play for the chance for Cole Palmer at the end. I mean, Gordon has direct and he's got pace. I cannot understand how you as a manager, forget the fact the England manager, and you cannot see that this guy needs to be brought on to stretch the opposition defenders. Watkins has been in the form of his life for the last 18 months. I said to you in the first game, a couple of people disagree with me. Like Dan said, I would have took Harry Kane off I would have took him off in the first game 20 minutes ago. Jude Bellingham the other night. To me, a top manager, Ancelotti definitely would have hooked him at 60 minutes.
Mm.
What did he do yesterday where he was effective? He did nothing. So you bring him off. You got Eze, who's a ball carrier, who's creative, who can cover ground. This is what really frustrates. My blood's gonna boil in a minute because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm watching the game. I'm saying to myself, okay, Slovenia are not gonna come out and play, right? Because they made a point. Well, I think it might get them through. I'm not too sure. England had about like 746 passes or something to Slovenia's 220 odd. Like, you've got players there. Mainu has to start on Sunday. There's no two ways about it. Like you guys said, drop Jude a bit deeper. Get Foden more central. I'm not, I'm an Arsenal fan. I would have Phil Foden will always be my starting 11. But you have to get him in a position where he can affect the game. Yes, he has to take more onus, but to me, come Sunday, there's no excuses. I'm not saying you have to make wholesale changes, but be a little bit more proactive, and whether it be in terms of your subs or the team shape. I don't hear people say about Saka left back. No, I don't want to Ricardo Saka left back. Not because he can't play there, but he's not a left back. He's more effective at the top end of the pitch. Someone said in the chat, "What do we bring Joe Gomez for?"
Mm-hmm.
He can play left back. If you're too worried about Trent giving the ball away and being defensively naive, we'll stick Walker at right back then, as he has been in the tournament. He has options. So what is he waiting for? Is he waiting for them to get to the final? I don't get it. It's incredibly frustrating. I didn't, like I said to you before, Holly, I didn't see this coming come the end of Qatar. It's been poor. And I'm being polite, not to use stronger words than say poor. Gary Neville said basic yesterday, and I know he wants to go a bit stronger. So listen, Holly, I don't know. The answer is there's changes there to be made, and in terms of balance, I mean, what did you take Shaw for? You've got a very good left back at home in Tyrick Mitchell at Crystal Palace. He's had a good back end to the season. He's had a good couple of years in the Premier League. Like I said, Gomez can play at left back. You've got options, but you took a risk and taking a fullback who hasn't played since February. I don't need to be a manager to realize that that's not a smart move. So, well, the answer to your question is, I have no idea what this guy's going to do, but I have a feeling what he will do, to be honest.
No, and I think that's just the most frustrating thing, because we all sit here and there's so many options, Kerrie, and I think that's the biggest frustration, because us at home we're not Southgate, we haven't got the nation on our shoulders, but we can sit and we can say, right, this needs to change. If this don't work, play this. Do you think Tim has just got too many bloody options and he doesn't know what to do?
Right, hear me out, because this is Delulu Kerrie coming through. I had this epiphany yesterday. I'm thinking, what if he's doing this on purpose? And what I mean by that is, I'm like, right, so we've put out, let's face it, a dead lineup, and it's not working, but he's not obviously brought on any of the players that we want. So I'm thinking, he might be sitting on the group stages here, and then we can be surprised, in the next one, and then he can finally change the system.
We will be bloody surprised when we get at the moment.
No, exactly. No, what I mean is that, like, I was literally sitting here and I was thinking, oh my God, what if, maybe he's going to actually start Cole Palmer next game. Maybe he'll start, the likes of Anthony Gordon. Maybe he'll do this because he's saving them for the second half of the tournament so that we didn't risk any injuries. Obviously, that's just hopeful thinking. But if it does happen, clip this, because your gal predicted it. No, I actually don't believe that at all, but...
Kerrie, that was a great monologue to say that you don't believe what you said.
We can hope, because
we can.
I mean, we've got Netherlands, which is a win for me anyway. We've got the Netherlands. We've got Slovakia, I think, are in contention if Georgia win over Portugal or something like that.
Yeah.
So probably the Netherlands. But they're not that impressive either. So I think that will be just a dogfight. Apart from the GOAT, Weghorst, my guy.
Well, first, I have to say that some of the Dutch support, wow. I mean, it's been brilliant for years anyway, but Yeah, I've seen some of the rounds on the socials, man. That's what I call proper celebrations, mate. Proper supporting your nation. But yeah, it's a weird one because Kerrie, come back to you, Kerrie. Let's trip it back now because I hear a lot from the players that we came to top the group, 2 clean sheets, 5 points. It can only get better, right? But I don't know. I mean, I think the concern for me is I could understand if we had a group of players that were coming into their first tournament. That's not the case. I think this is Saka's 3rd tournament. I think this is Declan Rice's 3rd tournament. Walker's like on 5 or stroke 6. John Stones, I think 4 or 5. They're experienced players here in national level and also for their clubs. So I know people want to probably jump on Southgate's neck, as Holly's mentioned, putting it on Southgate, but surely some of these players have got to show a lot more than what they're doing. And when I say that, irrespective of however Southgate setting them up, is that fair to say, Kerrie, or what's your thought? All right, audio listeners, Kerrie has put herself on mute. She's going to join us in a minute. Yes, she is.
That's why I didn't hear the end, like your question, because I was trying to sort out because it just switched off. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question, please?
No, I was basically saying, as much as Southgate, the heat's on Southgate, we've got players that are not inexperienced in terms of tournament football, which is even more of a concern in terms of how they're playing. But as much as we can have a go at Southgate, the players surely have to perform better, because I'm no disrespect to the group England are in. In some of the other groups, they had 2 big hitters in one group. England didn't have that, and yet the performances have been how can I put it nicely, Kerrie? Have been abject.
I think you have to go back to, I don't know if you saw Harry Kane's interview yesterday after the game, and obviously you mentioned how they've all said we're top of the group. But he went, we know that it could like emphasis on the could take extra time or penalties, and I'm like, brother Harry, have you seen your penalty record? We've only won once, and that was 2018 Colombia. Like, I don't understand. I think their mentality, obviously it's a media trained answer, but I think they've got to take some responsibility. They can't be saying,
I thought that's a bit odd for him to say that personally.
Yeah, you can't say the pundits are saying all of this. Well, show it on the pitch then, because they'll change the narrative. If you show us what you can do, because we've seen it before, we know what you can do. But over the last, like you said, at the end of Qatar, those pre-Euro friendlies weren't convincing. The Nations League form wasn't convincing.
No.
They've just got to show it. Yeah, but it's not going to take extra time or penalties. If it takes extra time or penalties, we are done.
Yeah, I did think that's a bit odd when he said that. I was like, I don't know why you kind of stated the obvious. I mean, we don't really want it to go to penalties, really. I mean, or extra time. I'm like, that's a bit bizarre for him trying to say that. But Holly, let me come to you. What I was going to say to my dear Holly. Come Sunday, and again, like I said, we don't know who England are going to play yet. I'm actually glad they won the group, because it would have turned out a bit odd, a bit awkward for me if they didn't come second. Just in terms of watching the game, but we obviously only saw one change for the game yesterday, because that just couldn't continue with Trent in the central areas. Seeing what you've seen Southgate do, what changes do you think will happen? Who do you think will come in, or who do you think will start that hasn't actually featured a lot in the tournament so far?
I'd like to say Gordon or Cole Palmer, but I'm going to go with, because Gallagher started last game, Trent's going to start the next game.
Do you reckon? I don't feel. I'd be shocked if he does that.
The thing is, I would be shocked, and I also wouldn't be shocked, because I just think that's what Southgate does, if that makes sense. And I know that he's got a lot of criticism in terms of Trent just doesn't work in the middle, but he wants it to work because it'll be his idea, I feel. But I really don't know. I'm hoping that the conspiracy that Kerrie said tonight, it could become in a reality, and we will see Cole Palmer and Gordon start next game. But it has to happen, because we saw how well it happened with the last 5 minutes of the game. There was so much more energy on the pitch. There was so much more creativity, especially with Mainu came on the pitch as well. He definitely added a bit more spark. So I'm hoping from that he kind of takes note. But as we all know what Southgate's like, he's just very monotone and boring. Like, I think someone wrote on Twitter like the colour beige, as in he won't make that wild decision, or he doesn't necessarily have, like you said, Albert, the bollocks to make a big change. He'll just stick with what he knows, and that's the colour beige. But hopefully we do see a bit more creativity going into the next game, because I can't hack another match like that. And I think it's for the fans as well. You go into pubs and like everybody's just dead with their like hands in their head because it's so boring. Like, that shouldn't be what it should be in a tournament football.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't, fans are booing after the game. Missing, like, I mean, like I said, I'm not excusing the obviously throwing of the cups and whatever, beer glass, or whatever the hell they was throwing, but pay a lot of money to go and watch it. I don't know if you know anybody that goes to watching them play in tournaments, whether your family knows someone. I don't even want to know how much it costs. I know it's not cheap, and you just, what you're seeing, you're like, is this really what we're paying to see with the players we've got? I just want to come to you. I'll come to you, Kerrie. I'll come talk to you about two individual players. I don't want to keep us much longer, but people, bust up the like button for AlbertJTV and Holly's Hotspurs, and obviously follow all of our accounts on the Twitter, which is in the boxes going along the banner along the bottom of the screen, and also in our boxes and our amazing guests, KJB, our caller, Kerrie Jacobs Bryant. Kerrie, I want to come to you, Jude Bellingham. Now, I don't watch a lot of La Liga, but a lot of people said to me, or I've seen a lot of people say, sort of the turn of the year, his form at Madrid wasn't not poor. Poor's the wrong word. It wasn't amazing. And obviously, we come into the tournament. You got man of the match in the first game. Great goal, takes ownership, wants to be on the ball, get on the end of things into the final third. But the second game, he was poor. Yesterday, I thought he was awful. I actually would have bought him off on 60 minutes. I thought he was poor. What do you thought his form down to?
I think Southgate's not getting the best out of him. So that's also obviously going to be a player factor. I don't think because I do feel like he is a 10. But I also feel, and I agree with what I think it was Ange Postecoglou said it yesterday, that he's not a 10, that he's more of a, he can sit back and play from deeper. I like him. I'm trying to think of anyone who I could relate his role to, and I can't think of it on the spot, but I think Gareth Southgate is not playing him in the right position, essentially. So we want Jude to be making those starting runs into the box and be on the end of balls, but he's having to work from the back, right? Ancelotti, well, Real Madrid, you're never going to... Real Madrid is just one of those systems where it just seems to be perfect for everyone who's on the pitch. And I did watch quite a bit of La Liga last season, so I'm a Madrid fan, but I do agree. I do think his form dropped off towards the end, but then he always came up. It's the big moments you need him for. And I think, okay, these are group games. Maybe he's conserving some energy, although he did look completely gassed.
Knackered yesterday. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Maybe he's exerting too much energy, and that's why it's happened. Because obviously we're now he's played a lot of games this season. They got to the final, they won everything bar one of the tournaments. But yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted between whether he is a 10 or whether he's not a 10, whether he's more of a box-to-box midfielder. But then you can say that about any of the players. You can say that Declan Rice has looked leggy. You could say that, Harry Kane isn't even playing in the position that he's used to be playing for Bayern Munich last year.
We'll get onto him. We'll get onto him.
Yeah, and especially Foden as well. Foden, my goodness, I never want to see him on the left again. Like, bless him. I thought he was man of the match yesterday.
I thought he did okay. A lot of people was like, no, he was poor. I'm like, I thought he actually did all right. I thought he did all right. I thought he did all
right. Yeah, I thought he affected the game. He came in, but then again, I was listening to something this morning. It's like he and Bellingham seem to keep switching. Like, you can't have that. You need to know your role within the group so you can be more effective. If you're completely switching out, rotating within a game situation, it's just never going to work.
Would you have both of them in the same team?
When you were talking about who you would have in your lineup, I jotted some down who I would, but I would take Harry Kane out. Quite contentious.
Ooh,
yeah.
Right. Leading on to that segues moved very, very nicely, actually. Holly, Captain Kane. Now, I'll go back to what I said before when I had Doug and Dan on. I said with that for and I'll let me give a bit of context because I think it was a back injury, wasn't it? He sustained at Bayern Munich, which for me he's clearly not fit. I don't need to be a medical expert. I'm not blind. You watched him play. You're congested in the middle of the park. I'm not saying you can't come deep and affect games because you can do, but you're not playing for Bayern Munich. You're playing for England. You've got other guys that can do what they need to do in that area of the pitch. Yes, he's a finisher, but I've seen him ineffective in an England shirt before. This is the worst I've seen him by a country mile. And people will say, yeah, but he had the injury. I said, that's fine, but Southgate's picking him. Now, it's interesting because he took him off in the second game, and I didn't expect Southgate to do that because I didn't think he had the cojones to go and do it. And I actually think it should have happened yesterday as well, personally. Again, get Watkins on, get them stretching the defense. You got Palmer on, you got Gordon on, you got Eze swarming the bench. What's your thoughts of Harry Kane?
It's my biased nature to say something else, but I'm actually not going to say it because, like I say, he's at Bayern Munich now, not Tottenham. I kind of get it with the injury because we've seen before in a certain shirt that he's played in games that he shouldn't necessarily have played in, and it's cost the game, so to speak. So I kind of get that in a sense, but then again, the onus kind of falls down to the manager who's playing him. But then on the flip side of that, for experience, he's been in that England shirt up top for so many years, so many tournaments. But then it goes back to that whole thing again that we were saying earlier. There's a lot of players in this team that have done that. So maybe we do need to switch it up. And it pains me to say that, okay, yeah, maybe we do take him out. Maybe we play. But then you thinking, is that going to be a risk? We take him out. What if things go a bit pear-shaped? Oh, we should have started Harry Kane. And hindsight's a wonderful thing and an awful thing at the same time.
Oh, that's football. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You make big decisions. If the manager is not prepared to do that, he shouldn't be there in the first place.
Agreed. And I think, obviously, listening to Kerrie and you talk about stretching the lines, we don't have that currently. And I think maybe if we do put Watkins in there, if we're not going to get the pace out wide, if he's not going to play Anthony Gordon when we need to play Anthony Gordon, at least play a striker that's going to pull the lines then yeah, I kind of sit with you and say, okay, maybe it is time to kind of, I'm easily swayed as it seems, but you're right. Maybe we do need to stretch the line a bit if we're not going to get it in those out wide positions. Maybe it has to come from up top.
It's been crying out for Flash. I call him Flash Gordon, Anthony Gordon. I'm just sitting there perplexed watching the games. England is. I'm thinking I'm watching the likes of Spain. Nico Williams. How old is he, Kerrie? Someone quickly Google that. And you've got
21.
And 21. And you've got Yamin Lamau at 16. What I mean, I could go through I'm watching some of the games. Even when Romania played Belgium the other day, I know Romania lost. They set up really, really well, man. Tactically, it's brilliant. They could have got a couple goals. I'm just watching England play. I'm thinking, if they come up against a team that is not even one of the big guns, just someone who's in the. If England play, for example, Switzerland tomorrow, I wouldn't fancy England to go and win. I wouldn't. Look at the way they play. We've progressively got worse. And I get it. People say, the top of the group, 5 points, 2 clean sheets. That's fine. But let's see how that matches up against a team that can actually play on the front foot and open you up. Because I'm telling you, the way things are, it's a story I've seen before, man. I've got the books behind me. I've seen it. The grey hairs have been coming out because this what this national team have been doing to me over the years. But before we wrap up, people, I'll do it again. Like I said, smash the like button. But if you don't know what to do by now, for Holly's Hotspurs and AlbertJTV, this is what you should do. Now, audio listeners, if you're wondering what that music was, it wasn't a running track for me and Holly to go jogging or anything like that. It was a little music intro to subscribe to AlbertJTV and Holly's Hotspurs. So you know what to do, people. Like, share, and subscribe. 190 on the Twitter feed. Oh, hello. Come on. We've got 12 minutes to go before next game kicks off, I think. It's weird because I can't even get score predictions for Sunday because I don't even know we're playing. But Holly, obviously we did a prediction at the start of the tournament, what teams are going to win it. Holly, obviously you're laughing because we know who you went for. You went for England, so listen, there's still time. We're still in the tournament. Things could change. Obviously, I went for Portugal as well, so we'll see how they get on. But I guess the final thing to sort of come to my amazing guest Kerrie is, how have you found the tournament so far, man? Any emerging talents you thought, wow, I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he was that good. Anything you want to share with us?
Tournament as a whole, fantastic. I've obviously worked from home, so I've seen every single game. Certain teams I've been really impressed with. I've been impressed with the likes of, like the Romanias. Switzerland have surprised me, although they were there or thereabouts in the Euro 2020. Austria. Oh my guys, come on! About time they got that recognition. They've been good for a while. Then obviously they've got Ralf Rangnick now, who's I think is a tactical master. He's just outstanding. And Man United fumbled that one, didn't they? Talent-wise, I've been really impressed with Lamine Yamal. I've not actually watched him at all this season. I've obviously heard all about him, but the way he's just his direct play, I think he has the most take-ons in the whole tournament. I also want to say someone I've not been impressed with, and that is Belgium. I've just come back off watching that game. Oh my goodness, Group E. Oh, you got to feel for Ukraine as well.
Yeah,
they got eliminated in 4 points, and someone else is going to go on 3. That's just not fair.
That's tough.
Belgium, dismal. I've not been impressed with France either. Tournament favourites.
Listen, their media. You think English media is bad? Don't look at them, mate. I tell you, they're ripped into pieces yesterday.
Is it? I'm not checked. I'm going to have a look now.
What was it, Kerrie? They scored an own goal. And
they scored an own goal and a penalty. And that's it.
And with that squad that France have got, that's insane. That literally is insane. And that's no disrespect to the teams in the group they're playing. Sorry, Kerrie, come back. Sorry.
No, you could say the same thing about France that you can say about England. Like, they're not performing at what we've known them to do. But then, trust me, now they'll probably go on a run now. But I think that France result, that draw against Poland of all people hadn't got a point the whole time.
Mad.
I was very happy with that result because obviously England now have, they've got no excuses. They've got a relatively good time of draw. Well, you've avoided the 4 big ones.
They have.
They've got no excuses, none at all. But then we know what's going to happen. We're going to take them. Maybe we'll score. We'll sit back. I just cannot deal with it. You see Austria in that game against the Netherlands, they were 3-2 up and they were still high pressing in the 90th minute.
And they was very unlucky against France, by the way. I think they should have got a draw.
I completely agree. But then you could say that Netherlands were unlucky with that goal because that Xavi Simons goal.
Yeah.
It had to be the English refs, didn't it? No, it had to be. And he was on flipping duty today as well for that Belgian game.
Is that Anthony Taylor or Mike?
Anthony Taylor.
Okay.
No, it was Anthony Taylor today.
Oh God, right.
No.
Right.
Kerrie,
that's a brilliant input. And my amazing co-host. I know obviously you keep telling me how busy you are, but I'm just sure you've been watching some of the highlights of the football. Who's impressed you? Come on.
Oh, Jesus.
Any games? There must be one game outside of England you bloody enjoyed watching.
Yeah, you watch England.
Yeah, I do. I enjoyed watching Scotland lose. That was fun. Can I say that?
I mean, you can. I have to be honest. I'm not even Scottish. I was really frustrated watching them play that game against Hungary.
Is that the one where they should have got a penalty? When
that was a terrible decision. Yeah, I still cannot understand how that wasn't given.
Yeah.
But Holly, that's quite an interesting memory. You actually kind of, or what you've kind of alluded to, what you've enjoyed the tournament so far. But I was frustrated watching. I'm not even a Scottish fan because I just thought. I think the problem with Scotland was quite simple, really, lack of quality. You can't have 70% possession, and I think they got their first corner in like 77th minute. I mean, you got to win the game. Yeah. You can't do that in tournaments. I mean, I saw their record that they put up the other day in terms of, I think since '98 or whatever it was, they just haven't got out of the group. at all.
What a shame.
And on that note, before Holly gets cancelled on social media by the Tartan Army, I want to say a massive thank you to people in the chat. And when you do watch this back or listen to it on the audio or back on YouTube, I'll even put it on Facebook as well. But I want to thank our amazing guests, people in the chat. Give a virtual clap or wave, whatever. Kerrie, Jacobs, Bryant, fantastic to get you on. What is coming up next for you?
Oh, lots of stuff. I'm hoping to be, obviously I'm going as a fan anyway, but I'm hoping to do some work around Team USA basketball before the Olympics. And I'm also hoping maybe to do some Olympic work. I won't be there though, which is a shame, but maybe we'll see. I know, I just love sport. So Olympics, Formula One season, Euros, Wimbledon, everything has come this summer. Bring back the 2018 vibes, beer gardens, Gareth Southgate's waistcoat. Lovely jubbly.
Yes, Kerrie, that's why I love you. You're a sports queen. I'll be looking out for the Olympics. Athletics is my thing. Go on, Keely Hodgkinson. Come on, that's the one. That's the one. 800 meters. That's it. Come on. But people, smash the like button for AlbertJTV and Holly's Hotspurs. And my amazing co-host, number 4, the full show is done and dusted. We roll on. Now, we haven't decided when we're going to do the tournament football is a bit difficult in terms of when to do the shows, because now we've got to contend with extra time and potentially penalties. So it might alter when we actually do a match review, depending on how long England in the tournament for. But we're definitely going to do the review for 7 p.m. on the 1st of July. Is that right? 30 days in June. 30 days in June, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll be doing the review from England, whoever they play, on the Monday at 7 p.m. Yes, to be confirmed. But Holly, it's been a pleasure as always.
It's been good fun. I've enjoyed it. And you know what? It's nice as well, because Kerrie knows me that it's only England and Tottenham. So when Kerrie comes on to give you a better insight of sport in general.
Now, I've said to you, I will have words with your other half, because we're going to have an emergency meeting. I'm actually going to come to your neck of the woods to talk to you.
I like what I like, all right? Okay? Tottenham and England, that's it.
We're going to broaden your... I'm not saying you should go and start watching gymnastics. I'm talking about football. It's all right, Holly. Don't worry. But we've got the Olympics as well coming up. So the people, smash the like button, like I said. That is AlbertJTV and Holly's Hotspurs over and out for another episode. # Euro 2024. We roll on to the quarterfinal on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Don't be late, people. Set the alarm clocks. We're over and out.